Welcome to the podcast where passion and purpose collide. We are on a mission to interview women and the occasional token man about how their passion and purpose have collided to create healthy relationships and profitable businesses. I'm Elizabeth Denham of the Franchise Woman magazine. I'm here with Rebecca Monet, Chief Scientist of Zoracle Profiles. And as usual, we're going to start the show off with our roses and thorns of the week. It's been a tough week to think of. I feel like it's been, we said earlier, vanilla. I don't want to be vanilla. I feel like I've had a little bit of a vanilla couple of days. Although my son just left to tell me he was going to get something to eat in a snarky way.
Snarky? I love that
Snarky.
word.
He was a little snarky at 17. That happens. So there was my thorn. My rose is that after the fourth one and then the one below, I can laugh at it. I don't think I take things too seriously or too personally with my kids when they're mad. I figure if they're not mad at you, at some point you're not doing it right. But sometimes when you get tired, I'll never forget my middle son was just spouting off one night and he wanted to have a discussion. And I was like, I am too tired. I am too stressed. If we have it now, it's not going to go well for you. So give me the night and we'll talk about it in the morning. And he was relentless. And I'm like, I have told you where I am. I am in a place where this is not going to be well received. And so you need to back off. And teenagers don't like to do that. They want to deal with things in the immediacy.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're dealing with the whole virtual school thing because of the pandemic. And I said, are you meeting up with anyone? Because we've had a little issue with meeting up with people and not telling us that he's doing that. And he's like, no, I don't have any friends, which was an accusation, not a statement.
Oh.
I don't have any friends because you're not letting me
because
hang out
you
with my friends. How dare you?
Isolated me.
Yeah. But I'm just going to laugh about it and think, well, this will pass. And I'm sorry that he feels that way, but oh well, I'm still keeping him healthy. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, being a parent is hard, especially today where parents don't know the difference between being your child's best friend and being a true parent. A true parent isn't always liked.
I don't like it when people say that because I think that's not the relationship. I think my mom and I are friends now.
Yeah, of course.
I'm becoming friends with my daughter, Hannah, who's 22. Because she's old enough to make her own decisions. But I don't think that's a good thing when a parent says my 15-year-old is my best friend.
My best friend. I don't think it's healthy.
Mm-mm.
I don't think it's healthy. You know, what you did through that example of saying, this is not the right time to discuss this because I'm not in a mental space or physical space that I can have a good conversation with you and you may hear something you don't want to hear. That was an adult response. And as children, especially as teenagers where our hormones and our emotions are all over the place, sometimes we have to have an adult say, this is the boundary, this is a yes, this is a no, this is okay, this is not. They don't need more friends. They need parents.
Well, I feel exactly the same way. And we've had some troubles with our blended family with the other parents wanting to be more on a friend level. And then that backlash comes back on us because Donald and I are very much on the same page with our parenting styles in terms of not being friends and being the boundary setters. And, you know, that's the whole crux of conflict with teenagers particularly is that they're trying to push on those boundaries, which they're supposed to because you want them to be independent, but you're trying to keep the boundaries at an appropriate and age appropriate place. And with each child, with 5 of them, it's been very difficult because the maturity levels at different ages have not aligned.
Of course.
And so you have to, one rule that one person may be able to have more freedom sooner because they're more mature and the other one may not. And then it looks really unfair.
Fair.
But if you're going to prove to me that you can't make good choices, then you're not going to be allowed to make as many choices. That's just the way that it works.
That's the way it is in life and business.
Yeah, it is. It applies to everything. You know, you get what you earn, I guess.
Yeah, you get what you earn, and what you don't earn, usually you take for granted.
Exactly. So what about your week? What are your roses and thorns?
So I have needed to have a difficult conversation And I am not good at difficult conversations. It's not my skill set. I'm a behavioral scientist. You'd think I could do that.
So much easier to analyze it in others.
Well, here's what you need to say, and this is how you do it, and then you approach it. It's great when you're a great coach and whatever, but when it's you yourself that has to have that conversation, and then add to it, I need to have this difficult conversation, and I'm also very outcome driven, right? So every conversation in my mind has to have a particular goal or outcome. And I'm like, okay, I can't even have this conversation until I know what my ultimate goal is, right? And since I wasn't clear on the goal, I couldn't have the conversation. So I have been procrastinating on this difficult conversation. I'm not even going to tell you how long.
No. Embarrassingly long?
It's embarrassingly long.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I should have had it a long time ago. It would have definitely reduced my pain level a whole lot. But I had it today. So it was amazing to me, even though it was a difficult conversation, the rose out of that was, it was out on the table. And now it was something that could be addressed and handled, where before it was just all in my head and in my heart. So I was kind of surprised how emotionally relieved I was when the conversation was done and a plan was put in action. I had no idea. I mean, I guess I did know how exhausting indecision is.
It's horrible because you're in limbo. I always say I have two horrible feelings that I hate the most in the world. One is frustration. And I think it was because I was frustrated in my marriage for 11 years. And my other one is limbo. I think and you were in limbo because
I was in limbo.
No idea which way you were going to go and what decision you were going to make. And now you may not have resolved it completely, but you have somewhat of a path forward.
At least,
yeah,
right, exactly. So it's going in a particular direction, or at least there's a plan. But you're right. I think this limbo land, we'll have to do a whole show on limbo land.
It's the worst place to live.
And I was in limbo land. It's exhausting. It's a lot of energy to go nowhere. You're kind of just treading.
That's exactly it.
You know, better to make the wrong decision and stumble in that conversation than to not have that conversation or make that decision. So roses everywhere right now.
So you're feeling relieved and limbo-less?
I am less in a limbo world, yes.
Well, that is a good thing. And you know, I've discovered too with dread, I also hate dread. I have three things. I hate it.
There might be more.
I might have a whole litany. I don't even know. But dread, to me, when you're in that moment, it is so painful. And almost always, it's never as bad as you have worked it up to be, the actual act of whatever it is you're putting off.
Right.
So if we would all just not, I mean, that's a lesson I've learned it a million times, probably. Stop putting things off and just do it. It's not as bad as you think.
Do it. You know, the Nike, or do it anyway kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I bet dread and limbo are kind of hand in glove. I bet they go together.
I think they are. I think they do. I think this is, I'm going to be thinking about this the rest of the evening.
I know. I love it.
Well, good. That's problems resolved. Roses abound.
We're so good at it.
That's great. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to transition, and we will be back next week with more roses and thorns. So tune in.